Biכורים, Perek Daled, Mishnah Gimel. The last Mishnah we learned discussed in what ways an androgynous is considered like a man. Now the Mishnah is going to tell us in what ways an androgynous is considered like a woman. So the Mishnah starts, Ketzad shover lanoshim. In what ways is this androgynous considered like women? First halacha is metame ve'oidem kanoshim. An androgynous becomes tome for a red discharge. A red discharge means a discharge of blood. Any flow of blood will make the androgynous tome just like it does for an ordinary woman. Ve'einoi misyached im ha'anoshim kanoshim. And an androgynous is not allowed to be misyached, is not allowed to have seclusion, to have yichud with other men, just like all other women. The Mishnah continues by telling us, Ve'einoi zoykek liyibum kanoshim. There is no mitzvah of yibum with this androgynous like normal women. Meaning, under normal circumstances, if a husband were to die without children, there would be a special mitzvah called yibum for his almona, his widow, to marry her brother-in-law. And in that way she can have children with her brother-in-law in the name of, to remember the name of her dead husband. If they don't do yibum, then instead they do chalitza, which is a ceremony they go through by her taking off his shoe and spitting in front of her, etc., which is brought in the Torah, which is a ceremony in order to permit her to marry somebody else. All this, however, the mitzvah of yibum or the mitzvah of chalitza only applies where her brother-in-law is capable of having children. Here, however, we're talking about where her brother-in-law is an androgynous. An androgynous, we say, is not capable of having children, and Mamela, there is no mitzvah whatsoever for her to go through yibum or chalitza if her husband were to die childless. The same thing indeed were to happen if the androgynous was the husband. Again, there is no mitzvah for his almona to marry the brother-in-law, because the whole idea is to be hokim shem ochiv, to rebuild the name of his brother who could have had children but didn't have children. If, however, there is no possibility of the dead husband of having his own children, then there is no mitzvah of yibum or chalitza. Mishnah carries on by telling us, Ve'einoi cholik im habonim kanoshim. If the father dies and leaves over a substantial amount of money as a yerusha to his children, and that father has sons and he has daughters, under normal circumstances, the daughters would be supported, and all the rest of the money would go to the sons. Here we're saying that if one of the sons was an androgynous, he is not considered to be a yerush with all the other sons. He's considered like one of the daughters, and he gets supported like the daughters, but not a yerusha like the sons. Ve'einei choylek bekodshei kodshim kanoshim. The androgynous, if he is a kohen, does not get his own chelek amongst all the kodshim in the Beis HaMikdash like other males do, but he eats like a female kohen. He eats like a daughter of a kohen or the wife of a kohen, but he doesn't get his own specific portion on his own merits. Ve'einoi machil betruma kanoshim. If the androgynous is married, and the androgynous is a kohen, he does not entitle his wife to eat truma. Under normal circumstances, if a kohen marries a woman who is not a bas kohen, nevertheless, the fact that he's married her entitles her to eat truma. In the case of an androgynous, that is not so. Or posel lechol edus shebatoyer kanoshim. Just like all other women cannot give edus in a bezdin, so too an androgynous is considered like a woman in this regard and cannot give edus in a bezdin. The Mishnah continues, V'im nival ba'avera nifsal min hakahuna kanoshim. If the androgynous has marital relations with somebody who would normally passel a kohenes from eating truma, this is talking about eating truma, although it says the words min hakahuna, so too an androgynous is considered like a woman in this regard, and if the androgynous has relations with somebody who would normally passel her, for instance, a close relative, one of the arayos, the androgynous would be passel from eating truma. Unlike a man who has such relations, he's treated in this case like a woman and would passel him from eating truma. V'ad kan, Mishnah Gimel.